7. This is Politics Now. I am Morno Balagbo. We've got quite a packed show for you. Well, great news in the nation as the Port Harcourt Refinery has been revived. That will be the focus of our conversation today on the show. Right now, let's give you a rundown of our talking points. We'll be looking at mixed reactions. Too good to be true. Will the price of petrol drop? And the revival of other government refineries. Also today on the show, we'll be looking at the welfare of Nigerians under President Tinubu. Our talking points will focus on the reality of GDP growth rates, talking food inflation, high cost of living, and the impact of high interest rates. Those two things are related. And we've got just the right person to be with us to have this conversation. Dr. Felix Ije is an economist, researcher, lecturer, and former banker. We'll take a quick breather. We'll be right back to break it all down for you to stay with us. All right. The renewed hope of President Bola Tinubu's, of course, is an agenda focused on shared economic prosperity for all. The president reaffirmed his administration's commitment to achieving energy sufficiency, enhancing energy security, and boosting export capacity for Nigeria. Well, after many years of failed attempts, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has commenced crude oil processing. The Chief Corporate Communications Officer of the company, Femi Shoneye, broke the news on Tuesday. Shoneye revealed that the refinery will operate at 60% capacity and process 60,000 BPD. Now, with the successful revival of the Port Harcourt Refinery, President Tinubu urged the NNPC Limited to expedite the scheduled reactivation of both the second Port Harcourt Refinery, Warri, and Kaduna refineries. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has concluded plans to commence the lifting of petroleum products from the refinery. And the lifting, which was supposed to start on Tuesday, in the statement from the president's spokesman, he said, "We are focused on delivering these rehabilitation project to other refineries and all other investments towards revamping the nation's refining capacity. And we are hopeful that in 2024, this country will be a net exporter of petroleum products." I beg your pardon, that's coming from the NNPC and not Bayo Onanuga. Okay, now moving on, let's give you some clarifications from the NNPC that they released yesterday, just so people do not over-exaggerate the progress that has been made. Now, first, they said the old Port Harcourt Refinery is currently operating at 70% of its installed capacity, with plans to ramp up to 90%. The refinery is producing the following daily outputs: straight run gasoline are blended into 1.4 million liters of premium motor spirit, kerosene at 900,000 liters, automotive gas oil 1.5 million liters, low pour fuel oil 2.1 million liters, liquefied petroleum gas additional volumes, and the refinery incorporates crack C5, a blending component from sister company Indorama Petrochemicals, and to produce gasoline that meets the required specifications. And they clarify that blending is a standard practice in refineries globally, and no single unit can produce gasoline that fully complies with any country's standard without such practices. Now, for those who do not know too well about the refineries in the nation, we've just got a few infographics to share with you. You should know that the Nigeria state-owned refineries are located in Port Harcourt, Kaduna, and Warri. The lack of 100% functional refineries has compelled the country to depend heavily on imported refined petroleum products, and that is why a lot of Nigerians are excited to see what is the next phase of local refinery in Nigeria after Dangote's refinery takeoff. And also, Port Harcourt Refinery commenced operations on Tuesday, 26 November 2024, according to NNPC. And they have said that the Kaduna and Warri refineries are scheduled to begin operations in the second half of 2025. The president also revealed plans to privatize Nigeria's refineries. Well, that was on Sunday. So enough talk, let's go straight to conversation. Dr. Felix CJ joins us right now. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, so what's your reaction to the Port Harcourt Refinery reactivation? Many are not so excited based on what netizens are saying on social media, because we've seen time and time again that the NNPC has made the rounds that they would commence, and now it is, a present hour reality. But what do you make of this?
It's not out of place for Nigerians not to be excited about it, because the issue of the refinery taking off, the issue of maintenance on the refinery has been lingering for years. The refinery has been in comatose. Earnings have been taking place even in the refinery without producing even any drop. So for government to say that they've started, we waited, the populace will have waited for so long to see it starting. So they are not actually excited. They want to see it. They want to see how it will work, really, because to some extent they've lost their confidence in the ability of the government to actually run the refineries and to make them work. But in all, me, myself, I'll look at it this way, that no matter how it is, it's better we get started than remaining the way it was in the past. Especially now that a private sector participant has shown us the way, like Dangote that has shown us the way on what to do. The quantity expected from the Port Harcourt refinery is actually small, but it will add a little drop of water makes a mighty ocean. It will add to the total output. I think we should be encouraged to get excited about it and pray that, just like the president have said, that they are also looking at the Warri refinery and the second refinery in Port Harcourt, that very soon that they will take off. We just pray that they will sustain the tempo.
Now, the big question on our minds is, why did it take so long for the refinery to come into place? Looking at the reason why it took this long and the frustration Dangote had to go through. A lot of us, I myself included, Doctor, I must be honest with you, are pretty skeptical about this revelation, so to speak. Of course, time will, remove all those fears. But what would you say to this huge time gap? You look at the resources that has been expended so far.
Is all the way is corruption. All the way is corruption. People actually see the existing refineries, those has been in comatose. They see it as a means of a siphoning fund. So anything that will actually stop them from getting the tranches that they are getting on an annual basis or quarterly, they would like to make sure that they stifle every effort to revive it. As it is, and also same with a lot of all these our developing economies, it takes force sometimes for things to work. Dangote himself, after checking through the benefits that is going to accrue from investing in it, went into it. Ordinarily, government, they will be telling us that it's very expensive to maintain, that they cannot take off. The little that they are producing that is costing them a lot, but Dangote is doing it successfully. I think for them to take off now, they are challenged. The government, they are really challenged. You saw what happened at the point of takeoff when NNPC, after seeing the output from Dangote, they want to see how to use Dangote's output to stabilize the economy. They discussed with Dangote so that they will be the sole distributor of Dangote products, so that all the products will accumulate to them. Then they will decide and they will sell out to the public, selling to us that they will use it to a kind of moderate and make sure that there is even distribution of petroleum resources. I don't think that was a very good arrangement. Thank God that private sector, being who they are interested in their profit and nobody can stop them from it. Coming up now is good. I pray that more private refineries, more modular refineries. I mean, those are smaller refineries that can be operated by individuals, not with large capacity. At least the refined product that can serve within a cluster of communities. I pray that such ones will start coming up. You know, Bala, you know, my prayer now is instead of continuously destroying refineries in the creek, I think there are some people within the creeks that they have capacity to do some small refineries. The government should look into it, get them arrested, bring them out from the creeks, sit down with them, talk with them. How are you doing it? Because the products what they are refining, even from the creeks, they are stealing crude from the creeks and refining. What they are stealing and refining, people are using it in the society. Why can't you bring them out? Don't ask them, tell them, don't go there again to steal. You can't be stealing national assets. Let them get crude. Government should sell crude to individuals that need. I remember when we were very young then, there is this petroleum products, crude oil. They sell crude oil to individuals that want to produce a pomade and some other things. When we had the industries, when we have industries that use petroleum jelly, that use petroleum products, and some factories that are petrochemicals that use the crude. So crude was everywhere because we process crude. So if we process crude, it should be made available, and people should start thinking of how to turn this crude into different products that we use. It will create a lot of employment. We will not even be waiting for only the refineries to earn money from. We'll be using the crude, the little ones we can get from buying from within. We'll be using the crude to produce other petroleum product related outputs so that it will help the economy.
Now, Doctor, let's talk about sustainability. Is this too good to be true? When I'm talking about sustainability, I'm looking at the fact that, yes, this is working. Now, past the Tinubu administration, will it continue? Because that is one big challenge that we've continued to see. Since oil was discovered in this country, successive governments come and they seem to have their own agenda.
I think now I am more hopeful than before, because at least they are not the only one in it. Other private individuals are there. Even Edo State, very soon their own will take off properly, and some other states. As it is, if they are dropping the ball, Nigerians will remind them that it's not as complex as they think. You know, I pray that those handling it will not also see it as a means of siphoning funds. They will not have a lot of excuses to give us now, because if a giant like a Dangote can be producing, then maintenance is taking place in Dangote. If those ones handling the maintenance of ours, I mean the national refineries, if those handling it, they are not doing well, then they should ask Dangote how he's handling his. Over time, we've also noticed that every government, a new government, most of the time, they don't go back to where the former government stopped. So I think it's a bold step for Tinubu administration to continue immediately from where Buhari administration stopped. Before now, a new administration will always tell us that the previous administration did not do anything, that they destroyed a lot. They will not tell us the positive things they've done. Recently now, with the completion of this Port Harcourt Refinery, I think the president has told us that he commended the previous government, Buhari administration, for starting and for voting a lot of funds. And I just pray that if they can be refining, that if they can be, if there is output from Port Harcourt Refinery, that means we'll be making money from Port Harcourt Refinery. Then voting funds and approval of funds for maintenance will not really be a problem. They've told us that they've changed a lot of very old machines and gadgets, because they told us that all the facilities there are already bad. And this rejuvenated refinery now comes with a lot of things new. It's almost like a new refinery. For them to come up in a short time to tell us that they want to do turnaround maintenance again. I think Nigerians should be up and doing to ask them what they did before. How long would they be turning it around every time? So there is hope. There is hope because in Nigeria now, we need more crude. We need more refined products. The crude we had, the crude that we are yet to harness, we've already used it to borrow. So we are repaying. Then we are buying a lot from outside. Even buying from Dangote, Dangote is getting his crude from Brazil, he's getting from US, he's getting from other economies because he's not getting enough from Nigeria. So his output, the price is not going to be that low again. Then the Nigerian economy should try to at least produce something so that NNPC will know we have what they are going to distribute. I think they should hold on tenaciously to it and make sure that they make the refineries to work.
Now, Doctor, will this refinery reactivation bring about competition for crude supply? Because that's one of my concerns when the news broke on Tuesday. Should Dangote Refinery specifically have any fears?
You cannot sell what you don't have. Hello? You can't sell what you don't have. As at now, government do not have much in terms of crude. We don't have much because we have bargained out the one we had earlier for exchange for the loan that we pick. Now, the refineries, the national refineries we have, their capacity is very low. 40,000, 100,000, maximum 150, 200,000. So dollars, that is barrels per day. This is small compared to the one that Dangote will need. They actually had an agreement with Dangote that they'll be selling in Naira. But Dangote now realized that government does not even have enough to say to him, even if he wants to rely on the government, they won't be able to supply enough for his own refinery. That is the reason why he went outside. He started going outside to scout for crude to process. So over time, as they are increasing their refineries, it's also expected that the time lag or the agreement they have with international creditors that they need to give this product over time, I think the agreement will lapse. And if there is need for renegotiation, because if there's fit agreeable to having what more they make it available. We are yet to know the economic implication of selling crude to Dangote in Naira, because it's over time that we will realize it, we will understand what it is. If we sell crude to Dangote in Naira, we are going to conserve our foreign exchange. It's going to improve our liquidity within the economy. It's also going to curb inflation and help to control exchange rate fluctuations. And once these things start coming up, once we start seeing tranches, once we start seeing it coming, then government will sit up to see that it's better to refine within our economy than taking it outside. I think more eyes now are on the government. People are getting more aware about the working of the refineries, what output is all about, what the arrangement that government is having with our crude. So a lot of questions will keep coming, and I'm hopeful that before the end of the term of the present government, better things will be done to sustain the tempo and to improve our output, which is about 1.8 million barrels per day. The budget for 2025, the barrels per day. I just pray that if we're able to do that, if we're able to be producing about 2 million barrels per day, it will help us in servicing the Dangote a little and also in servicing the local refineries.
Now, do you see our local refineries importing crude just based on what you have said?
It's all about business. It depends on how fast the petroleum sector manufacturing, extraction and the manufacturing, how fast it grows in the hands of the private individuals. If we have multiple refineries that need a lot of crude, then even if they go outside to source, I don't think it will be much. The domestic or local refineries we're even talking of, that of Dangote is a gigantic one. The crude needed by modular refineries is not much. And this is supposed to be for clusters or to service the clusters of communities. Getting it from the government, if the policy allow, if our policy allow, then it will be easy. It's just for us to tweak our policy to readjust the petroleum policy so that they'll be able to sell to the locals. And once they're able to sell to the locals, I don't think they will go outside to buy crude for now. Let's look at it now. The Port Harcourt Refinery, the Warri Refinery, the Kaduna Refinery. These three refineries, their total is not up to 500,000 per day. You talk of other modular refineries like the one that Edo State government is working on, and I learned that there is one other private person that is working on other refinery. Altogether, their capacity together may not be as much as that of Dangote. There is one thing to, for you to go outside to source for crude, it takes a lot. It's not a small quantity that you go outside to source for. You have to go with a ship. And for modular refineries, I don't think they will have the capacity unless they will be buying from people that bought, or having people now start those giant businessmen like going to buy and having them in stock, then for them to sell, because it's all business. So that is the only way those ones can easily have. But for them to import crude from outside, unless they are going to do a kind of merger and clusters coming together to negotiate for crude to bring in maybe a shipload that they are going to distribute with. So talking of going outside to buy crude, it takes a lot. And I don't think modular refineries will easily start jetting outside to buy crude. We only need to refire ourselves within. Also, Dangote is also considering, they are also into petroleum extraction. So to some extent, we also have some crude for themselves from their own extraction points. I mean, investment in extraction, investment in crude processing. So Dangote is also getting interested in that sector, and over time they want to service themselves. I think with time we will get it right.
So, Doc, what is the hope for reduced cost of fuel for Nigerians?
You will notice recently that Dangote himself reduced the price of fuel from 970. That is 20 naira difference. But could you believe that Nigerians are not excited about it? 20 naira difference is a loss for a producer. It's a lot for a producer. Somebody that is producing up to 650,000 barrels per day, if you multiply 20 naira by 650,000, it's a lot of money on a daily basis. So that reduction should be appreciated. Over time, if himself, a private person who is business oriented and profit focused, can reduce it from 990 to 970, that means if it becomes more favorable, it can still be reduced further. And again, if we start turning out our output from our local refineries and government see it that they are producing at a better rate and start selling lower, then Dangote somehow would like to reduce his price too. I think it will be a positive thing for us with time as refineries are coming up, meaning that the local consumption that we have to source from outside will be reduced. Assuming now that Dangote is already selling to countries within the West African coast, they are making arrangements to still sell to other economies. The quantity they are able to supply into the hinterland, that is into the country, that we need, what we actually need, our consumption higher than what Dangote will be able to give us as at now. Then it means that if other refineries come in, it will reduce the pressure on Dangote and importation of refined product. And when pressure is reduced, that means demand is reduced. And as demand reduces, as the law goes, price will be forced down over time. So I think it will be positive for us. The one good thing again is that as long as we are having petroleum products at a lower or a cheaper rate, it will encourage industrialization. It will encourage the refiner, that is manufacturing firms. It will encourage small and medium scale enterprises, because the major problem we have in Nigeria as a developing economy is energy problem. And energy is electricity and fuel. Those are what constitute the energy. So if we can get energy enough from all these petroleum products, it will go a long way in helping the development of our small, medium, micro, small scale industries in Nigeria.
Now, the president is set to revamp Kaduna Warri refineries, but on Sunday Dare, who is one of the spokespersons for the president, reportedly said that government is looking to privatize the refineries. Now, why spend huge amounts on fixing them if you are going to definitely privatize them? Because the same Warri and Kaduna refineries will come live in 2025. What are your thoughts? Because as a business, if you spend money, you expect to recoup your profits. So what are the chances and what do you make of this?
For NNPC, for anybody within the NNPC to say that they are thinking of privatizing, that means they are not sure of their capacity to manage. That's the first one. Then again, spending money to revive it now, I don't think it's that. Because the moribund nature of our refineries before, just like our former president Olusegun Obasanjo said, he said when he met Shell to help them manage NPC, to help them manage the refineries, that they reel out a lot of problems. This is why they should not, that they will not come into it. That the way it's being managed, the corruption, etc. So they are not even interested in buying into it at that particular time. But seeing a functional refinery, then people will be excited into it. If you just like you invite somebody to come around to buy a factory that has been dormant, that is not working with weeds all over, the person will close his or her eyes on that on the gadgets there, and be talking of only the land. That means they will not even pay anything for it. They will buy it as if they are buying land. But when they see it already working, if they actually want to privatize, myself, I don't see it as being bad, as long as they are not going to give it to themselves. Now they know what it costs to bring it to this stage it is now. They know what they're expecting as a capacity, the output capacity. They know what they are projecting as income they'll be getting from there. They put everything together and they privatize. They're able to get very good amount of money that they will invest reasonably in another sector that will add value to the society. It will be good. But if they privatize just like they did in the past, just like they did in the past, during Olusegun Obasanjo and Atiku privatization activities, I think it will be worse off. But as at now, we should not be thinking of privatizing. Now that it's working, let us see how we can manage it, at least between now and the next 5 years, before they can be talking of privatizing. Transparency has been a major problem. Government effectiveness, our institutional quality has been a major problem. It has been a bane for our development. It has been affecting our development, mostly negative, because our institutions, if they are working properly, if our institutions are working properly, also institutions that are supposed to carry out the audit, institutions that are supposed to carry out the oversight functions, if they are working properly, there won't be this high level of corruption. Our institutions has failed us, and our president says he's going to fight corruption. There are a lot of anti-corruption agencies, ICPC, EFCC, the police, etc. and nothing much is actually coming out of it. We just pray that our institutions should be strengthened and we work properly. If we work properly, then transparency will be enhanced. Recently, the ease of doing business in economies, that of Nigeria, has been lowered a little again because of exchange rate problems, because of cost of production in Nigeria, and also cost of registering and managing businesses, and also the issue of multiple taxation. A lot of small firms are leaving because of multiple taxation and cost of running their businesses. All these ones affect the ease of doing business. And this ease of doing business is hinged on transparency of the institutions. So until we sit up and make our institutions work, then the pressure will be on the populace, and everybody will see the pressure direct. It will be adding, it will be eroding the quality of life in our.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll be back to you. We've got to go on a quick break. When we come back, we will divert a little bit to look at the welfare of Nigerians under Tinubu administration. Dr. Felix is still with us. Don't move on, so we'll be right back after this time.
What makes the political system what it is today?
What are the recurring issues?
Order.
The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension.
The instability of the system.
Join Ellen 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
Apologize for saying that I was corrupt.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Watch politics now
On LN 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Many thanks for still staying with us. We're looking at the welfare of Nigerians under President Bola Tinubu. Let's give you a rundown of our talking points again. The reality of GDP growth rate. We'll make sense of that with Dr. Still around with us to have the conversation. And of course, looking at food inflation, high cost of living, and the impact of high interest rates. And of course, Nigeria's economy showed resilience in the third quarter of 2024, recording a growth rate of 3.46% year on year, an improvement from 3.19% in the second quarter of 2024 and significantly higher than the 2.54% recorded in the third quarter of 2023. Now, this growth rate was driven primarily by the services sector, which expanded by 5.19%, contributing over 53.58% to the aggregate GDP, while the non-oil sector remained the cornerstone of growth, posting a 3.37% increase in real terms. The oil sector made modest gains, growing by 5.17% after contracting in the third quarter of 2023. Those in government are pretty excited about this, Prof. Just based on some of the information that I've gathered based on monitoring our press releases and all of that. So the GDP grew by 3.46% year on. And Nigerians are asking, how has my life become better? So can you help us make sense of this particular issue?
Growth is an index to say that the economy is expanding. Then the question is, to what or which direction is the economy expanding? Who is getting the value? What are the things that are actually making the economy to expand? Let me give another instance. Our minimum wage was 30,000 naira in the past, and it was equivalent to $117. Then, okay, when it was $18, it was equivalent. When it was 18,000 naira, as at 2011, it was equivalent to $117. When it was 30,000 naira, it was equivalent to, I think, 70 something dollars. Now it is 70,000 naira. It's equivalent to $45. If you don't take care in calculating, by the time you calculate the growth, you will notice that there is a movement from 30 to 70, which is a large leap. Then you calculate it as growth in minimum wage. But in actual fact, it is a reduction in minimum wage. So the issue of interpretation of growth matters a lot. There is no growth. There is no growth that will be considered seriously if the welfare of the people is not affected positively. In economics today, we talk of growth, but we are more interested in development. Growth is something that you can just calculate, but development is something that you can feel. So having growth is not a problem. You can mention that you have, we project 10% growth, 20% growth. That doesn't matter. After all, when you are moving from a very low level, once any little change will act as growth. But somebody that is already big already, even a significant change may not be seen as a line of growth. Let me explain this further. An economy assuming an economy that is running at a trillion naira, if the economy improve by 500 billion, that means 500 over the trillion times 100, that is the change. But an economy that is running on 100 naira, if they increase by only 50 naira, it will be a large quantum. So growth in economies like developing economies should be seen as figure. What we should be interested is development. Development affects our social interactions. It affects our health and well-being. That's the health. It affects our life expectancy. It also affects the quality of food we consume. It affects the quality of housing. It affects the three basic needs, the three basic sociological needs. That is the clothing, shelter, and food. Once all these improve, then the quality of life around will improve. But unfortunately, in economies like developing economies like us now, we are struggling with food, we are struggling with security, we are struggling with a lot of things. So the issue of talking of growth in the economy is only expansion of the income available. As it is, the income available is increasing, but more people are becoming poorer. The output has not actually increased. The major expansion in the economy is in the service sector. This service sector does not produce tangible goods and services. They only trade tangible goods and services, and traders only add prices. They add prices which result to inflation without adding value that can be redistributed among the people. So if you see like the banking sector declaring billions and trillions of revenue and profit, how many is it affecting? If you see the insurance sector declaring who is earning from it, if you talk of the telecommunication, a lot of earning from there. If you talk of the oil sector, the booming sectors in the Nigerian economy today is the service sector. And as long as the service sector is booming, then growth is expected, but development is dwindled. That is the problem we are facing in Nigeria.
Now, Prof, of course, Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 33.88%, reflecting a 1.18 percentage point for month-on-month increase. Now, you look at this information from the National Bureau of Statistics Consumer Price Index report, which was released on Friday. The Bureau attributed the rise in inflation to increased transportation costs and higher food prices on a year-on-year basis. And the headline inflation rate was 6.55 percent points higher than the rate recorded in October 2023. And as part of efforts to combat surging inflation, the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the monetary policy rate MPR to 27.50%. And of course, this followed the meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And the monetary policy rate measures the benchmark interest rate. The CBN Governor, Yemi Cardoso, announced this in Abuja on Tuesday during the last MPC meeting of the year at the Apex Bank's headquarters. Cardoso said the MPC voted unanimously to raise the MPR rate by 25 basis points and retain the cash reserve ratio at 50% for deposit and 16% for merchant banks. And this, of course, is the sixth time the CBN would raise interest rates. And we keep reporting this on the show time and time again, because this is supposed to address the singular issue of surging inflation, which is affecting you and also affecting me. So looking at the recent policy, Prof, despite high inflation, this, we still keep increasing the interest rates. Is it really doing anything, or is Nigeria not the perfect example for this model to actually work? What is government getting wrong, and those in charge of monetary policy in the country? Doc.
The monetary policy adjustment does not work where the fiscal expectations is not met. In economies just like Nigeria, we always have gap between the expected and the actual. Then let's look at interest rates in Nigeria. You know, MPC, they have MPC every month. At the end of the month, they meet, they look at the economy, the working of the inflation rate, interest rate, then the volume of money in circulation. Then because those ones are the things that affect actually inflation and interest rates. So for them to increase interest rates, that means they have the intention of reducing the quantity of money in circulation, with the belief that because there is too much money in the hands of people, not commensurate to the output in the economy. What I mean is, what we are producing in the economy is small. The money we are earning from recurrent expenditure, and even from the capital, recurrent expenditure is the one we pay to people that are working for government. Then the current expenditure, the one we use for constructions, the one we use that push out. Even the money we are borrowing, when government say we want to borrow, by the time they borrow, they bring it into the economy, they spend in the economy. It goes into the hands of individuals. When this money is increasing in the economy without commensurate output, if they are not injecting it properly to generate output, to generate goods and services that will feed us, that clothe us, that house us, that provide other consumables and services. If those things are not coming up, that means the money in the economy is much. The CBN want to look for a way to control. What they do now is that they increase their rate. That rate, the CBN increases that. They say, okay, if we want to give money to banks, this is the rate we'll be giving them. Then that is deposit money banks. As long as they increase what they will be charging banks in collecting money from them, that means they will limit the money to CBN to ask for more money to push into the economy. In that case, the banks will now go back to look for other sources of income. They will go into the economy, send their marketers out, ask them to go and look for deposits. Then they will give a very high rate. And as they are getting deposits from a very high rate and getting funds from CBN at a very high rate, then anybody that will borrow from the banks will be given a very high rate. Also,
All right, Doc, thank you so much for throwing your expertise on some of these key thoughts that our viewers at home, of course, do appreciate your comments. But before you go, Prof, I would like you to touch on, let's go back to our first conversation on the refinery now. Just the Petron's statement that Dangote's refinery is cheaper than the Port Harcourt refinery with a difference of about 70 naira. Now, how does this make sense? Because we were thinking that the Dangote refinery, will help reduce the price of fuel. That didn't work. And now the first takeoff of fuel price is higher than the Dangote refinery. Prof, what is the hope for the average Nigerian? Because, I'm trying to put myself together. Let me listen to you.
I think the issue of petroleum pricing, especially the refined products, is a bit technical because it depends on the source of crude and the quality of crude. For every crude, they come with different qualities. You have the Brent crude. Even in Nigeria, there are different places where we source crude. They come up with different qualities. So somehow it's on the average price that is considered, average price of crude. If within Nigeria, the one we are refining, the local refineries, even if the price is the cost of production, if they are seeing it to be higher than that of Dangote, it can be higher because they have a smaller refinery, their cost of production, their fixed cost maybe when you put it together may make it higher. But it's not a thing to be celebrated for them to be saying that it's higher than what others are doing outside. Since we are running a presidential system and also we are running a national refinery that we are supposed to use it to help the masses, whatever they to produce, I think they should come up and sell at a price that is moderately okay for the people and preferably lower than what the private individuals are selling. I think that's what you should consider. If they input all the costs of production and to push it to the masses, it will be very expensive. So I don't doubt them if they say their cost is higher than that of Dangote, but their selling price should not be higher than Dangote because it's a national asset. And again, if they are calculating their costs, they remember that the source of the raw material, which is the crude, is also from us. So they are buying from themselves. And they are the one that set the price that they are buying from themselves. If Dangote can be buying crude from outside, the cost of purchase, including the cost of carrying it, and bring everything down. If it's still if it's cheaper to buy crude from outside, then it's not a good thing for us in Nigeria. So they should not be telling us that their own is more expensive than that of Dangote. They should make sure that they sell at least a little lower than what the private individuals are selling, so that it will make the product to become competitive in the economy and friendly.
From what you have said, Prof, should NNPC be buying crude? Is it a loophole for corruption? I just want to be sure from someone like you.
Yes, NNPC have to buy from themselves. It's very, very necessary. Accountability has to be fully. And remember that even extraction is not the total extraction. Want to supply to NNPC refineries, they should supply to NNPC refineries, they should supply at a cost. So it's better we buy from NNPC. Let's buy. That is how we know our total output. If you tell refineries, our refineries, national refineries, not to buy crude, then that means they can supply anything to themselves. They should be accountable. They should buy and tell us what it costs them to produce. We should earn our income for crude and also see the output. In that case, it will become internal subsidy, producer subsidy. Let them subsidize production. so that the cost, that is the sales price, the factory gate price of PMS and other petroleum products will be cheaper from NNPC than all other places. So even if it costs them to produce much, then they should sell at the price that we can buy. They should moderate the price. Then NNPC say they must buy crude from the national output so that they will be able to account for what they are getting. It's just for record purpose. It's just for record purpose, so that they will know whether they are adding value. People working there, whether they are adding value or not. It's necessary they purchase from they account for food that they are using, so that they also account for the output they are getting from the different refineries.
All right, Doc, thank you so much for your time. That's the much that we can take on the show. We will be following the development. I must state on this show that congratulations to the administration of President Bola Tinubu, who seem to have been able to do what Nigerians have been crying out loud. And the most important thing is that Nigerians would wish that this was done before the removal of subsidy, that is, having local refineries working at full capacity before the subsidy, was removed. But I mean, it's happened. And as a country, we need to move on, and we need to continue to support the leadership of the country to ensure that it delivers on its promises. And as journalists, I and my colleagues, most especially on this program, will continue to challenge government in terms of accountability, because accountability in the oil and gas sector is very important. You look at the price of goods and services, you look at high inflation. One factor that is very key here is the price of fuel, because goods and services need to be transported from one location to another, whether it is rice, beans, yam, potatoes, you name it. Basic things that Nigerians need to survive are on the high side because of transportation costs. And if fuel can be cheaper, it may not go back to the days of 150 naira or to the days of 200 naira. But if it can just be a little bit cheaper with the implementation of minimum wage that governors have embarked on, then there is definitely hope for Nigeria. And I want to go with some of the thoughts Dr. Felix just shared with us on the show today, that there is actually hope that the prices of fuel will come down. So we're counting and, of course, sending our best support and wishes to the president. And even though we will always continue to hold him accountable on this program, and we do hope that by the grace of God, Nigeria will walk again. I want to thank you for watching the show today. Keep it locked right here on LN 24/7. Always, we will challenge the government of the day and get to understand and break down in simple terms for you to know what is going on in this country and how you can play a role in the right way to ensure that things work. God bless Nigeria. Once again, my name is Mono Balagbo. Thank you for watching.